Kris, thank you so much for being here. When I think about essential oils, I usually think about wonderful skincare products or perfume because it smells so great. But let's talk a little bit about the medicinal properties of essential oils.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me explain just a little bit about where essential oils come from. They are the cultivated products sometimes of, let's say, orange and lavender, or they could be wildly grown crops like sandalwood. So sandalwood actually comes from the bark, rose comes from the petals. Jasmine comes from pretty much the whole flower, actually with rose the whole flower too. Blood orange comes from the peel. So when you
zest.
Exactly, the lemon zest, lemon or orange zest. And lavender actually comes from pretty much the whole thing. I mean, you know, sometimes they'll put, you know, just the buds in there. So lavender is known as the Swiss Army knife of essential oils because it does everything. It's very essential, exactly. Also, known as the mother of all essential oils. It's good for sleeping problems, it's good for burns, it's good for cuts, it's good for bruises. One of the things that people don't know about lavender is it's one of the most balancing oils that there is. Most people think, oh, lavender, relaxing, and it is. But it's also, if you're too low, you know, so if you're even depressed and you know, really need to be brought up, it'll bring you to that point of homeostasis. So if you're too high or too low, lavender's going to help balance. So
interesting.
When I teach my classes, I always talk about lavender in the sense of balance, but in all the oils, how it relates on every level. So let's say lavender is balancing on a skincare level. Would it be balancing on an emotional level? Exactly. So it would. So every single oil that you talk about and that you see, if it's going to be a certain way for one part of your body, essential oils help mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, aesthetically. There's so many ways that it can help you. So that's why lavender is, you know, one of the best ones to have in your aromatic medicine chest, so to speak. And it's one of the only oils that most people, okay, can put on neat. And basically what neat means is you can put it directly on your skin. Because a lot of the other oils you do not want to put directly on your skin. Peppermint, for example, is something very good for headaches. Well, even if I put it blended with something, you know, close to here, ooh, I start sneezing and my eyes start burning, so you really need to be careful when you're using essential oils.
So it would have to be blended with something that would be more soothing.
Exactly. So jojoba oil, almond oil, even olive oil, any of those kinds of oils would be great. A perfumer's alcohol, you can mix it with a lotion, bath salts. But
the lavender can be used just as it is.
Exactly, yeah. On most people, you might have a reaction to it. And think about this. I mean, it takes 1,000 pounds of rose petals to make 1 pound of rose oil.
Wow.
So that's why prices are different, okay? So rose and jasmine are very expensive because it takes so much of the plant material in order to, you know, get what you need, a small amount. Lavender is not so expensive. Blood orange, things like that aren't so expensive because of that. So the next one of my all-time favorites is blood orange. And it is just absolutely just a wonderful oil. It's also, this is the Moro orange from the Lentini area of Italy.
It smells just like an orange.
Yeah, and
orange zest.
Do you smell like little hints of berry and a little powderiness to it and possibly even a little bit of floral? So it's almost like a wine, like when they would say, oh, it has jammy notes or berry tones or things like that. Essential oils are the same. It depends on the region that it's from. It depends on how it's grown. There's so many things that we need to consider when we're talking about oils. So blood orange is very, very good for emotions. It's also a good diuretic. But any kind of trauma or stress, and it's very uplifting emotionally. It's not revitalizing or energizing like peppermint or something like that, but it's just very uplifting. So I mean, don't you feel good when you smell? What do you think about when you think, you know, when you smell that?
It just smells like a happy home to me because I love fruits and natural centerpieces.
And a lot of people say, well, it reminds me of, you know, when I went to Florida or when I went to Italy or California. I mean, that beautiful orange smell is just very emotionally uplifting. Now this one is jasmine. This is the sambac type of jasmine.
So there's different types.
Different types. That one's grown in India, and the reason I like that one, it's got, can you feel like the earthiness and the richness of it? It's just really, really
And
intense.
they smell different on each person too.
That is an excellent point. Unlike a lot of, and this is the way that I explain some traditional perfumes. Okay, say there's a veneer on this table. Okay, a lot of the traditional perfumes act like a veneer. They smell the same on you and on me, but with essential oils, it mixes in with your own body chemistry. There's some of that on the over-the-counter perfumes, but not anywhere near as much. Natural perfumes are much more subtle. So this is rose. This is a rose absolute. It's a little bit of a different process. Oh. That one very good for skincare, very moisturizing, and very good for the heart. Always has been throughout history associated with love, but also is very soothing. Very mothering. It can be romantic, it can be passionate, but it can be about self-love too. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful oil. So this is sandalwood, and there's a little bit of the sandalwood on there already. Sandalwood is very grounding, very good for meditation, very relaxing.
And you said this comes from the bark?
That actually comes from the bark. And sandalwood in India right now is endangered, so you want to make sure you get it from a renewable source. I sell sandalwood that comes from New Caledonia in Australia because that's a renewable source. Oh. But from India, it's endangered now. So you want to make sure that you get something from the right source.
And what is your website? Because there's so much we'd like to cover and we can't, but you do have lots of good information on your website.
It's kismetpotions.com, and that's
Kismet. Potions.
Potions.com.
Well, it is very interesting. I enjoyed reading on your website. Thank you very much, Kris.
You are welcome.